Hey Hunnies, it's Ashley. Thank you so much for listening to part 1 of Honey It's Yours. This is now part 2 of the episode. Hope you enjoy.
If you can even believe the fact that if I approach them a bit too forward or I don't approach them at all, that's not going to give me the results that I'm intending to do, then I should craft or mold myself to make sure that I'm capable with this person, right? Sometimes we try to figure out if people are supposed to be or if they're compatible with us, but that's not really how life works. Mm-hmm. You grow and you mold and you change the way you're around people. And the way that I like to look at relationships is like a garden, right? If you put two different seeds next to each other, they're gonna grow a lot differently. And if you put them in two separate pots, they'll grow differently. But they take the nutrients that's around them, they share, they do all these things. So maybe a tomato plant is supposed to be 6 feet, but if I plant it next to some corn, it's gonna be 4 feet because it needed to take some different type of nutrient to, make the fruit better. The goal is to not be the best version of yourself. The goal is to make the relationship work. So if you're feeling like I'm authentically being myself all the time, maybe you're not doing that relationship properly because you're not supposed to be yourself. You're supposed to be with each other. And there's an aspect of self that you sacrifice so that you can exist now with this person. And I'm not saying that you have to change who you are as a person because no one thing makes you who you are. You're a culmination of your experiences and your personality and your memories. So if you're now becoming this thing that, I wasn't like this in the past, but being in this relationship has made me into this person, who you are now is who you are. So you have to operate off of the present and not off of this dream of the past or this hope of the future that you will be. This is who I am now, and this is what I believe I can be tomorrow if I'm with you. That's how you operate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if you're in situations where the person on the opposite end has expressed numerous times how they're, so I'm going back to what you were saying about believing that it will get better.
Okay.
How they will just F it and leave. Whether it's with you or just that's how they tend to deal with relationships in general. Because for me, I would say that that's probably one of my biggest things. I think Ashley hates when I say this, when I'm I'll fight for the relationship. And she's like, why is it a fight? And I'm I don't mean we're beefing, but I'm here to go through the long run and the long haul of the relationship, regardless of what happens. Okay. But I feel like I end up on the opposite end of a lot of people who express that that's just not something that they're willing to do. Part of it personality, part of it cultural, part of it being the avoidant style. And it's just so what, now what am I supposed to do with that? Because it's not very encouraging to continue, and then it's I don't know what you want from me then, if at the end of the day, if you're just gonna.
Right. Well, I do have to backtrack. Remember when I said that some people it's not about being compatible with somebody, it's about growing? There's a level of wisdom that comes with, should I make myself compatible to this person? Is that a type of area I should mold or grow myself into being? Am I willing to do that? Some people are I don't want to grow that way. I'm going to peace out. Not to say that that's wrong, but that's the approach that they went to that relationship with. And if you approach every relationship with, I'm going to make this work from the jump, you're going to have a lot different results than I'm going to see if I want to grow that way. So people are on different pages. Some people are trying to see if they want to grow that way, and some people are I'm trying to commit to somebody. So you have to it's called being unequally yoked. You have to have the same yoke, the same thing that binds you to life, because the yoke is what keeps the fetus in and it grows it. So if you guys don't have the same type of yoke, you guys are going to grow into different things. Some people's yoke is I'm dipping because I'm not going to yoke with you. Some people's yoke is I'm going to yoke with you. So you got to figure out what page you're on.
I'm not even talking about relationships, romantic.
No, that's
so that's why it's I don't know. I'm trying to take myself out the relationship context more, because at this point, the streets nasty. I'm okay. There is no yoke. It's just Sarah. But with my friendships, I'm extra intentional about us learning each other more and more, and us understanding each other more and more. Again, Rihanna, I'm just using an example because you're the person that I learn almost every 2 months. We're constantly changing in our friendship, we're constantly learning, and what helps is that we're both on the same page with how we want our friendship to grow, that we know we want each other. Correct me if I'm wrong, I hope we want to stay here forever, because you're not going nowhere. That we both want to be for each other. But for example, you might have to beat this out. they're crazy. I can't do certain communication styles. I can't do certain conflicts. The way they resolve their conflicts with each other, I'm just like, there's a lot of chaos going on. My solution is just to just not engage. But then I have no friends. So
then that goes off to what you prioritize. Everybody has different levels of hierarchies from what they want out of life. And if your priority in that space is peace and you're not really trying to make new friends, again, your relationship style is going to be, I'm going to peace out for the way that I'm trying to grow. Maybe your friends over there, they're all like trying to yoke up with each other and be friends lifelong, whatever. You're like, I'm willing to prioritize myself over here. And that's just the way you go about it.
I think it's. Go ahead.
I guess, like, for me, it feels extra lonely because I don't like being so alone. But it's just, this is my therapy session. It's for real.
Send the invoice after.
Right.
$250.
He had the number right.
Insurance? You take insurance?
Let me stop
Cash.
talking.
Oh, cash? No insurance.
Nah, but like that's the fight I'm having is like, do I just chill by myself and be okay with myself, which I try to be as best as I can, but I'm only human to a certain extent where I need people around me, and they're not coming up to be down to DC every 5 seconds. So
Pause. You've never called me. I would come once or twice.
That's a personal shot.
anyway,
I can't go.
Come on, bro.
You just said you
But
would.
yeah, that's my spiel. Ashley has other stuff.
No, I was gonna say, like, it's interesting of when you're entering or operating within a friendship, relationship, whatever, romantic, non-romantic, you have to see, do I want to grow with this person, or what was the other one? Grow to see if I want to grow this way, right?
Yeah.
I think the interesting part of that is like knowing where you want to grow personally. So if you're unclear about who you want to be, then when you're in a friendship, I feel like where you see yourself growing, now you're like, I don't know, it's like unstable because you personally don't know where you want to grow to. So you're on the ride until the ride doesn't work for you. I don't know if that is the proper thing to say, but like, if you're unclear about yourself, where you want to be, then you don't know if this is where I need to be planted to be the best version of me. But then it's also like, could this soil be the best version of me? Or do I need to find another pot? Like, but right now, I feel like this is a good pot for me to stay in. I don't know.
So, it again, is it a good pot for you is based on what your goals want to be. Sometimes, like you said, if you're not too sure about what you want to do or how you want your life to be, then you're gonna operate very unstably, right? Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways because he doesn't know. Well, this part's not in the Bible, but he doesn't know which way to grow because he's in this pot, which has these soils, and then he's in that pot that has this soil and this water and this sunlight. So if you move from pot to pot, you'll never have a fullness of who you're supposed to be. There is no, I'm gonna not be who I'm supposed to be, I messed up. It's the life that I'm living and the choices that I make are gonna make me into who I wanna be. There's a lot more power that people have in relationships that I think that this modern culture of dating is kind of removed. It's like there's a right and wrong choice to date. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being authentically yourself. And not just yourself, but if you're authentically yourself in a pot with another person, you're both authentically being yourselves, which then becomes being one person. And I say that because the archetype of all relationships is how God reacts with reality. The way that relationships work is that there is a thing that I can pour into that will then react to how I'm pouring into it. And because God's nature doesn't change, it's not really a great analogy, but there's a level of us that's not supposed to really change. We're supposed to be people who are able to have joy, supposed to have peace, supposed to be able to be patient, have self-discipline. These are all fruits of the spirit manifested, right? Because we're not just physical people, we're spiritual people. So there's a spiritual part of us that we're neglecting when we're going into relationships with people, because there's like this material gain that we're like trying to get. I want to get this type of person. I want to have this type of image. I want to have, but just because it looks like it's supposed to be something doesn't mean that that's what it is. It's not about what I'm going to become. It's about who I am right now. Who I am right now needs to be taken care of before I think about, dang, am I supposed to be this person 10 years from now? Who am I supposed to be right now? And you need wisdom to operate in the present. If you're trying to figure out, okay, well, in the future, I want to be with a person who is this type of person, makes this type of money in this type of situation, you're going to miss the growing stage. A tree has to be in the ground for like weeks and months before it's a tree for hundreds of years. So choosing your relationships from the beginning, very important. And you do have a period where you can go from place to place for a while where it's not detrimental, but eventually a seed is supposed to be planted. Eventually the seed's supposed to grow. You have to choose a place to grow. And not to say, I'll be wrong if I grow here. There's no wrong way to choose. You're there, and then you also have a hope and a faith that where I'm at is going to feed back into me. That's just what it is. There's no right or wrong way to go about making relationships, but there's a right or wrong way to go about maintaining them. And if you feel like a relationship really can't be maintained, you should leave. But that's like that's last resort. Super last resort. Jesus said the only reason for divorce is infidelity. Like the one thing you're not supposed to do, that's the thing you decided to do, leave. But all these other small arguments, discontent, you can go through those. Like society for a long time was based off of arranged marriages because parents understood how their kids were and they were in a community of people who they grew up with. Okay, like I know my son was like their daughter, so I'm gonna do it. Do you guys think we should do this? And then they talk and they converse and then they put them together and then they learn to know each other. But now we don't really have the wisdom of like older people around us anymore. We're kind of doing things solo and we're doing things based off the influence we get from culture, which is it's not healthy. So it's a vibe. So you do need to operate with some wisdom, and your wisdom has to come from a place that's like eternal. If you want to move in a way that's long lasting, you have to move in long lasting wisdom. What is here for the long term? What is really here for me in the long term? The answer is
really here for me in the long term.
The answer is struggle. You do have to struggle for a long time. Yeah, but struggles aren't supposed to be bad. They're supposed to be able to struggle, right? The word Israel means to struggle with God. So when Jacob's name was changed to Israel, he's like, this is somebody who's willing to struggle with God. It means he's willing to walk with him and have that conflict back and forth, but not willing to leave. You can't struggle with somebody you're not around. So you got to pick somebody who you're going to struggle with. Not because you're going to have like fights all the time, but because I know if I struggle with you, we're going to grow from you. So pick your struggle.
But
you have to pick your struggle.
I think that's the part. I know we're gonna grow from here. I know that.
Faith, you have to believe that though.
I
know we're gonna struggle and grow from here.
Fear it won't get better.
You can't struggle with somebody.
I need to see clear examples. I need to see physically what is getting better. I'm operating. I'm operating in faith.
Faith is
I'm not seeing the fruits of my labor.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for. The evidence. I cannot see God, but I have evidence that He's there because I believe in God, and my belief.
I'm asking about the evidence.
The
evidence
you
of
want
the
to
relationship.
see evidence? You have to put in work. You will not see the evidence before you put in work.
So when you put the work right, and you don't see the evidence, does that mean I need to find another pot?
If you put in work,
giving the evidence a chance to appear too.
Yeah, because then you have to also operate with patience.
Okay. So this is
tough.
This is going.
That's why they say like people think that like relationships, friendships are so easy. No, it's actually the harder ones are the ones that end up working out. Because you have to actually like marriage is not fun. Sorry, I mean it's fun. Like here's like
there are parts of it that can happen.
There's parts of it that aren't
comfortable
fun
in this life.
No. You'll be comfortable.
Right
you will be comfortable in this life, and you will struggle. These are not separate things. In order for you to be in life, you will struggle and you will be comfortable.
Your parents' marriage, for example, my parents' marriage. My parents have had phases in their marriage where they've had bad times, but they have to keep changing for each other because they're growing both separately and together. That's the yoke, one together. Keep adjusting, keep communicating, keep finding middle ground and keep it going because it's getting better. The evidence was there because hence the ring, they're married. And Jesus, Right. So it's like that's what we see has worked.
So their comfortable times make their struggle worth it.
Well, for a more practical answer for you, the evidence for things working out is the commitment you made. I committed to you, that's all the evidence you need because you believe in that commitment. I believe what you told me on that altar. I believe what you told me in the DMs. And I pulled up. And then now if you are not going on to the same level of commitment that you made, I can forfeit you. Because again, the reason for infidelity being the reason that you can divorce somebody is because you went back on the commitment that you made. If you have a commitment and you did not break that commitment, everything that's underneath that is fair game for you to work through. But once you break a standard of this is what I'm not going to deal with, and they break that, then you dip. And some people have different thresholds of what I'm not willing to deal with. And sometimes they get that threshold from improper sources like culture and like whatever TV show, music. And that's why some people operate relationships with a very low leaving threshold. Yeah. You piss me off 2 days in a row, we're not meant for each other. That's not a healthy threshold. You piss me off every single time I talk to you, I'm still gonna be around. That's not a healthy threshold. You have to operate with wisdom so you can like mold your life with some type of peace and clarity.
I guess because wisdom is knowledge and action.
I'm gonna need a
right?
breath after this.
More than the breath. Wisdom is knowledge and action. So operating in wisdom, then you would have to go through the struggle and feel that.
Right.
And then make a educated decision after that, using what you just felt. But if you don't,
I said pray about it.
Of course, everything has to be in prayer. We have to go back to Him every single time.
Okay.
Child, every single time, because without, where's the strength coming
Cannot
to do the struggle, my guy? This struggle, out of fear and in faith, man. I need some help. Hello? Because the humans on the earth are not going to help me.
No, for sure.
But,
I mean, Jaeson might. Jaeson is helpful.
He's licensed.
I'm actually not licensed yet. I'm still going through my I'm in my limited permit phase, so I need to get a couple of 1,000 hours to get my license. But you know, I still do it.
You know what?
He was going crazy this whole time.
I have. No, but what you've been saying right here is gonna be some journal prompts for me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, so after this episode, we've been having journal prompts by Ashley for all of us as the HRI community to engage in together.
Sure. I have like a societal question because everybody nowadays, I talked to a lot of people, and
she was networking,
you know.
In those conversations, men are logical, women are emotional.
Lies.
And they keep pinning the blame on a woman, and then the woman is like, men don't do this, that, and the third. So like, where does the middle line from going to having more logic as a woman to having more emotion as a man? Where is that middle ground, and what are your steps to getting to those, like...
Struggle.
Okay.
That's the name of this episode.
There's a lot of pieces that go into it, obviously. So
I wanna phrase this very correctly and not in a very long-winded way. Yes, women do operate primarily from an emotional basis. Yes, men do operate emotionally from a logistical basis. But by themselves separately, these things are not suitable for you to operate your life in. And yes, there are different ratios to how people experience their emotionality and their logistics. But typically, I'm going to say typically, it's not always the same. Typically, women are going to operate from emotions. But you need emotions to fuel logic. And the thing that men often do is they operate primarily off of an emotionalist logic. And they're like, oh, well, I'm not giving examples, but sometimes they have an emotionless logic, and sometimes women have a logicless emotion. And you know, if you have bad examples of both, you can obviously say women are always doing this, men are always doing this. But there is a healthy way of, again, growing together. Women are supposed to empower men emotionally to make better logistical decisions. And if men have not been empowered emotionally by women to make logistically better decisions, they're going to operate in poor logic, and vice versa. Men are supposed to provide logistical, like, safe spaces for emotions to thrive in. And if they don't provide that for women, then their emotions are going to go wild out of the place. So they take that concept, and back in the day, it was the men's responsibility to lead your relationship, but it was the woman's responsibility to make it thrive. So it's like you need men to, like, clear out the ground and dig in the soil and do all the hard work, and then you need women to, like, tend to the garden to make something come out of it. But if you're trying to put something into ground that's not, like, you know, like, tended and has, like, the training and, like, the logistics of making a garden work, doesn't matter how much care you put into that garden, the foundation was never set. Vice versa. I can have a perfectly set garden, there's a tomato section, a grape section, blah, 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 but the water that's pouring into it is not healthy water, I'm gonna have no fruit. And then when people come around me in my relationship, like, yo, your garden's kind of trash, whose fault is it? both of our faults. It's one garden. But I feel like I deviated really far from what you were trying to say society-wise.
No, you answered my question.
So, yes. We need healthy men in relationships. We need healthy women in relationships. Men need to lead their relationships and women need to care for their relationships. If a man is leading his relationship properly, you will care for it a lot. Sometimes the care can go overboard and you're like, I really care for it, but you're not leading it properly. Not that he's not leading it properly, but there's a way that their leadership style should change in a way that it accommodates the emotionality from women. So it's not to say that any one person is doing something wrong. Again, it's about how can you work with what you're given.
Y'all both trash.
Y'all both trash. You are garbage at relationships, and it's not your fault. It's society's fault.
For the longest.
Maybe two people are bad at relationships, but it's not one person. It's society's fault. If society was really set up in a way where wisdom was passed down from people to people who had successful relationships, we would see more successful relationships.
Why is there a breakdown?
Why is there a breakdown?
Like why? Like, let's look back. Like that breakdown of the wisdom not being like passed on. So now the new generation has to now try to find this knowledge in the correct sources and then put that in action. Like, why are we not passing down wisdom?
Unfortunately, the answer goes back to the Garden of Eden, right? The first relationship was Adam and Eve, right? So Adam is supposed to provide the logic, and Eve was supposed to be his helpmate. And in Hebrew, the word helper means somebody who does something that the person cannot do. But Eve started operating off of different logic, not from Adam, but from the serpent. So now she has a different logic from what was needed in the garden, and she's operating in wrong logic. So now the emotionality that she's pouring into Adam causes him to, mess up. Well, it doesn't cause him to mess up, but he doesn't operate in healthy logic. So women who hear logic from conflicting places and try to bring that conflicting logic into their relationship, if their man is not logistically sound, he will fall for it. Which is why, again, men need to lead their relationship, and sometimes you have to tell your girlfriend when she is wilding out. But also, you cannot just tell her she's wilding out without doing anything to change it, because the reason she's wilding out is because you didn't set the logic properly. If Adam's like, yo, do not talk to the snakes, because Adam named all the animals, so he knows exactly what they're like. He did not give her the bounds to say, yo, don't do that for this reason. And I know it sounds very patriarchal, like men are supposed to tell women what to do. It's not that they tell them what to do.
We believe in that here. They know what it is.
Okay, yeah, they know what it is. Like, you need to tell your girl, listen, I care about you and I love you, and that's why you cannot do X, Y, and Z. And people are like, you can't wear that, you can't. That's not coming from a place of love. It has to literally come from love, or else you're giving her bad logic and you're giving her Satan or serpent logic. It can't be tricky. It can't be like, oh, well, it has to only work this way. If they can't see the logic in it, it's serpent logic.
Serpent logic.
Only your girl knows serpent logic.
That started because of women.
What? No.
The basis of all these wars, so it was over a girl. We don't have, they were operating in bad logic.
We have no idea passed down because the knowledge that we got was serpent logic. That's what you're saying.
And what I mean by serpent, I mean logic that the word
perverted.
It's tricky logic. It looks like it's one thing because the serpent has like a lot of these whatever patterns on it, and you approach it and you're looking at the rattles like, okay, well maybe it makes a nice sound, but really it bites you. So maybe like if I tell my girlfriend that like she can't go outside after like 9 p.m., she won't cheat on me because she realizes that cheating on me is wrong. You went a roundabout way to just say, please don't be unfaithful. Like, I'm afraid of you being unfaithful. Don't make rules based off of fear. Again, I don't want you going to that party. I don't want you going to that thing. I don't want you hanging out with this and such person because you're afraid. Now, you can give that same exact wisdom from a place of love. Like, yo, I noticed that when you hang around such and such person, this tends to happen. Or I noticed that when things go on at this specific place, and I listened to the last podcast, y'all talking about going to parties and all. Listen, the last time, if you go to certain places and it is not wise to do certain things, are you going to allow your partner to go into a place where you know wisdom will lead them to do serpent-like things? That's up to you. And again, it's up to you. Are you going to set your person in front of the serpent? Are you going to be like, all right, go to the serpent, have some fun because you want to have some joy? I'm going to let you rock with that. But then, okay.
Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you off. But
go ahead.
But in the like society, so let's bring it to like society's way of like testing a relationship. If you really are committed to me, if you really are who you say you are, then why can't you operate in front of the serpent and know that that's a serpent and I'm not gonna not gonna entertain that. But do you have to be put in a situation to be tested? So I don't know.
But I feel like that in itself is already messed up. You literally just said they're putting you there to test you. That's not allowing to begin with.
We literally pray to God and say, lead me not into temptation.
Wow.
Why would I then say, go into temptation?
Are you?
No, not go into temptation. But are you saying the partner is watching to see how you move here? Or are you saying you're like, oh, you should be here?
I trust you enough to go to wherever you want to go, and you'll come back to me.
You trust, but was that wise?
Well, so then, you know what he's saying? The last episode, do not go to the Eastern Park. The Raga you listening to?
Still
unwise.
But also, and for me, I'm somebody who I do go out to like these places.
Raga-ragas,
right? I don't fully participate in the raga-raga-ness, but
why?
Why? Because I love my girlfriend. You're wise. I'm wise.
You're a wise man.
You know what's funny?
He said, are you crazy? He's wise.
I'm wise. I fear losing my girlfriend.
Okay, well,
I'm not gonna lose my girlfriend.
You can go into the Raga Raga and operate as the wise man.
But now, if I keep going to Raga Raga, is that gonna make my girlfriend mad at me? Maybe. That's why you have to have the conversation, right? I personally do not try to go out to many places without my girlfriend unless she's like busy or whatever. Then whatever. But again, if we were in a type of relationship where it's like you can go and do, because this is kind of like how it started, you can do whatever you're doing over there and that's fine as long as you come back here and not wilding out. But eventually that's not sustainable, so we had to make a change. It wasn't like, you have to realize, wow, like there's some wisdoms that have to exist in your relationship. And one of those things have to be, you have to make sure your partner is not going into temptation. Like, you have to really make sure that you're in a place where it's like, okay, you are going to keep our relationship safe often, so that when we're actually in a place where you need to keep your relationship safe, you have the training. Sometimes you're not ready for certain temptations.
Okay, so go ahead, Rianne. You talk, please.
So to continue on Ashley's question, right? Because I think this brings up a great point. How do you go about communicating that so it doesn't come off as I don't trust you? Because sometimes it's not the person, but it's the place that they're in, right? Because
it's a temptation.
You know what I'm saying? We can't control what other people do around our person, right? We can't even control our person for us. That's them. So now, how does someone communicate that maybe it's not the best idea to go out every single night? Because sometimes you just don't have to be there all the time. Like, you can stay home and work on us without sounding like you don't trust or like you suspect something. You know,
safe.
how does one communicate that effectively?
Okay.
To a man.
To a man. Well, again,
I
all
really
men.
really had to zoom in on me because I was like,
Again, all men are not the same, so it's hard to give you that to a man. But typically, if you want to appeal to logic, right? If you can't, because you're a woman, so you can't appeal to a man's logic, unfortunately. But you can't. You're not supposed to. Men operate off of logic, and they need emotion. God didn't make Eve something similar to Adam. He didn't make him just like Adam. He made her different to the point that she complements him. If you feel like you need to complement your man's logic with your emotions, you should show your man your emotions. And if you keep on showing your emotions to your man and his logic is not now changing to cater to those emotions, you can either keep on showing the emotions and having, you feel me?
You just said that's not a healthy.
No.
If
Again,
that's not, hey,
That's
what
after
you
the effort.
struggle?
That's after
There
the
is
effort.
there is
There's a threshold. He
there
said
is
threshold.
There's an
a
order. We gotta
threshold.
go in order.
There is a threshold, and if you are not willing to leave from your relationship, you have to keep operating as if this is my threshold. Because eventually, men will never tell a woman this, but eventually, we have to talk. My girl is bugging. Why is she bugging out? And we're going to like, bro, you keep on doing the same thing over and over and over again. She's going to keep on bugging out, bro. If you want your girl to stop bugging out on you, maybe you should do something different. Men appeal to men.
Their friends.
Exactly. Men
I'm switching because what did you do, friends?
Boom. But it also depends on like their character too. Like you should definitely know the type of person you're with, and if you don't trust their character to stand out from who their friends are, then maybe that's just not the person for you. But if you trust that your person is gonna be able to listen to what their friends say, and their friends are, you know, in wisdom, then yeah, you can hope that logistically they're getting poured in that way. But your job, your job as women is to approach your emotions with your relationship, like your problem solving type.
I have another to flip it, right? Because I was actually talking to my.
You want to get out?
Go ahead.
I was even locked.
Put mine down.
So not to flip it, because I was actually talking to my friend about this yesterday, where he was very much just like, you can't go to this. You cannot invite these people to this thing.
Okay.
How does it work in the reverse? You said that as women, you know, we could do the whole emotional thing to appeal to the logic. But now when it's a man trying to communicate to his woman X, Y, and Z, because for me, I actually, like, exactly what we answered. I said the way in which you're communicating that, even to me as your friend listening to it, it very much feels and sounds like you're operating from a sense of lack of trust and insecurity in your relationship. You couldn't express to me why you didn't want them there besides the fact that they had a past before this.
Okay, so the way that emotions are kind of like they're given a lot of like water symbology in like, you know, a lot of like ancient texts, because emotions have like different phases. They go up and down, up and down. And the way that logic is set up is more of like a rigid kind of thing. So if you want somebody's logic to change, you're not changing the logic the way you change your emotions. It's not easy. A logic has to break because it does not work anymore. So you have to show somebody, why does this thing not work anymore? And they have to snap it and break it. And that comes with a lot of like humility and humbleness with, wow, that did not work. So I should change something. But if they have the logic to think that it will work, no matter what you say, it will not change them. Women have to break men. That's why they're like typically called like the neck of the man, because like the men are the head, right? But the neck moves the head. So if your head is this way and you're single this way, you have to that man, you feel me? With your emotions. You can't be a strong head against the man because now you're butting heads. Men can butt heads all day.
Cry.
Yes.
I really cannot take that.
Yes. I promise you. And it's not just like to cry. But it's not just men and women.
Just one tear.
There's too many seeds to grab from this.
Cry. She's been nasty. I'm taking that.
Because even in the Bible, God says, I hear your cry. When people cry out to God, God shows them mercy. You just broke the neck of God and made him be like, wow, I'm going to allow your emotions to not cause you to like be chaotic. Like when Ishmael, Hagar, when she was like casted out from Abraham, because she, you know, whatever.
Wallen.
Yeah, she was in the desert praying to God, and it wasn't until that her baby started crying that God sent some help. Because she's trying to pray, God, why did this logic? God is just like, you made a bad choice. You operate off of logic. I'm gonna let you stay in that logic. But then here's the baby crying. When? All right. Here's some stuff. Here's some food. Here's some water. Like that. You need emotions to change the heart of people. Cry. The easiest way to get your man to change, cry to that man. He will feel like, I can't cry. He will feel like crap. You feel me? He will feel like utter garbage. Cry to that man, bro. My girlfriend ever cried to me.
Oh, that's why y'all don't like to cry for them? Like,
not at all. Not at all.
No, but that be me though. I don't like to cry.
Because we know when crying happens, there's going to be a break in logic. Well, not consciously, but subconsciously. If there's crying happening, I have to change something.
I think it would hit even more for y'all if y'all don't often cry. Like, I be crying on the toilet. So I cry all the time. It's like, y'all shedding a single tear, I feel like that would really shape somebody up, because like she made me cry. I never seen her cry before.
But even if you're somebody that cries often, even if you're somebody that cries often, cry often, because that's your power. It's a release. It's a release of emotions. And what do toxic men not have? Emotional.
I don't feel released.
Why do you hate crying?
I don't know. I hate crying because I don't feel like it's. I feel like that's just the beginning of it all. You just okay, here comes now all the stuff after. Why did I feel like I had to cry?
The work to change.
Yeah, man. Cry, bro. The superpower for women is their emotions.
So I had to actively learn that crying wasn't a bad thing, and I started doing that a lot. But for me, like, if I cry, that means something has really, really, really impacted me, but I also still don't cry in front of
People. Men. Yeah. I don't
my dad will see my tears left and right all the time, because that's my guy. But like, significant others, I don't cry in front of them. No, I'm okay.
That's why it's not working out. Cry.
But I feel like that's like a bigger, going back to like the societal thing, I feel like that's like a bigger thing about like how women have in many ways felt like they had to take on the roles of a man in order to survive. I feel like that's a survival mechanism, low key, versus being open and honest and like vulnerable in your relationship in order to make that.
I mean, you can survive, but that's a lonely way to survive.
Facts. I agree.
Yeah. You can think like a man and be a man all you want. You're still a woman, and you have to operate in your power. So you can forfeit your power to operate in the power of men, and you can get the same type of, you feel me? The same type of rewards.
Let's go back to Adam and Eve, because we have to work now and help you, because I don't want to work.
Well,
that's not Adam and Eve. That's what's her name.
No, that's what's her name. I have to now help toil the soil, because I help you toil the soil because inflation is high. And when I'm at work, I can't cry when I'm at work.
Yes.
You think my managers, my supervisors, my coaches gonna be like, well, Ashley,
that's a man's world.
Yeah, you working now. Yeah, you working. You gotta save those tears for your lunch break.
That was a great place to drop a tear.
Yes, sir. But that's the thing again. Like, you took on logic that wasn't meant for your benefit. Not you specifically, but Eve took on logic that's not meant for her benefit, for destruction. And we're an archetype of these people, right? So sometimes you will take on logic that is not meant for your good and try to put it in the garden that you're supposed to live in. And you're like, damn, my garden's messing up. I'm gonna start operating this way because I want my garden to survive. I'm gonna till the soil, and now you're in the garden by yourself, mud all over your face. Like, I can't plant this tree by myself.
Bro. Listen, I've been living in my femininity and all that. I need help.
Yeah, no, so so we're more,
how do you do that?
Me and Danae are more similar with, like, you know, a little tussle, a little, like, I don't want to say aggressive because I don't like that word.
Assertiveness.
Assertive, yes. Okay. But even my sister this past summer was like, dude, you need to step into your femininity more. Just relax. But I think it's because
bro, I could just bite somebody like, you have to do it.
But like some men are not men. Y'all piss me off.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, why do I have a stronger personality than you do? How do I have my life together and you don't? Like,
and you don't.
Because they did not have a healthy emotionality of like a woman being poured into them. Either, you know, from whatever angle, they internalize negative emotions, and now they're operating in a logic that's fueled from negative emotions.
So we now gotta go around breaking people's necks.
In me being soft,
I cry.
In me being soft, it just feels like I'm waiting for you to take initiative, and then y'all don't. Not yet. Sorry.
I know.
You wasting time crying when the things need to be done.
No. I'm
saying it's not enough good. I don't want to say
even in
bad.
beginning stages.
So we gotta fix all y'all, and that's the problem.
Even in beginning stages, like, I don't mind going up to somebody and saying, "Hey, you look good. Let's talk." And that's like, no, they're supposed to do that. And then it's like, oh, you shouldn't make the first move on like dates and stuff. Okay, copy. I'll sit back, but it's like
drop your handkerchief.
Too long, and then getting to know each other and getting deeper. I have to initiate those conversations because I like to get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be here or are you not? Because if not, I'm skedaddling.
Well, that's not really like a masculine or feminine trait. Actually, just based on like cultural dating preferences. And that I know, right? Can't blame the men for that one. But there's a level of cultural preference and how you approach dating that has nothing to do with feminine and masculine energy. That's if you like to take initiative, you like to take initiative. But I'm talking about feminine and masculine energies. I'm talking about the way that masculine archetypes are people who are able to have understanding, they're logically based, they can put things together categorically, they're able to withhold and control themselves with, you know, like in their body, and they're able to be humble, or they're able to view themselves in a light that allows them to exist healthily among others.
That's masculine?
That's masculine. Feminine is more of a passive trait kind of thing, right? You say, I have to wait. That's what you do for a good man. You have to have a faith or belief or an observance of reality that allows you to see past what you're in right now. Mm-hmm. Logic in men is seeing what they are right now and shaping it. So then when those two come together is I'm seeing what I have now.
And we seem to.
And now, boom. So then now the next level would be.
He said it's not supposed to be like that.
No. You see but then the next level is the execution stage, right? Women, how you guys execute is you have an allowance. You're allowing men to execute. Men are supposed to execute. That's self-discipline. I execute. Allowance. That's just kindness. You're allowing me to do that. And then the next level after that is men have to feel like I'm somebody who should operate in this way, and then you have to wait for them to operate in that way. If they don't operate in that way, you can go back to the top and see that going forward, this is not it. So I'm out of here.
See you over there. Yeah, we out.
But then if you're able to do all those things effectively, you experience joy. Like joy is supposed to come from men and women doing their things.
I'm seeing my man. I don't know about y'all.
I see it.
What about gender equality?
What about it?
Can I not have...
That's another episode. I'm not going to.
We not equal. At the end of the day, we not equal. I don't even need that. Respectfully, just pay the same amount.
I don't want
everything else. I don't want none of that. I don't want it. Like you said, like episode, who went to work? It wasn't even us. It was the other people.
I was just trying to be that person.
No gender.
First to me, babe. First to me.
Yeah.
But I should drop the hanky.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's night. And the crux of this whole conversation is struggle, growing, or understanding, and wisdom. No serpent's logic. And all together,
Yeah, joy.
But only if you want it. You have to
joy. That was the answer. Joy.
The answer is
Peace.
joy.
Okay.
The answer is not even peace. The answer is joy. Sometimes
Joy.
you will not have peace, but you'll still have some joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good. That's a great. Like.
I don't even think we need a
Wow.
quote. I think that was the quote.
So the quote.
That was a quote.
I think that was a quote.
Sometimes you don't even need peace. You just need joy. And problem solving is not peaceful, but it can lead to joy.
Period.
Jaeson, we want to thank you for being here.
Amen.
This has been absolutely amazing. I'm gonna need therapy.
I have something to
If you
do.
have not booked your therapy appointment, please, after
Yeah.
you like, comment, and subscribe, do all those good things, hit the bell, all that good stuff, go book that appointment too. Find insurance if you need to.
Yeah, if you don't know, go on your insurance card. You could go on your insurance card and you could call the provider and they will email you a list of providers in network.
Sometimes you gotta stay on the phone with them for them to actually email to you, or you can go on their website.
Alright.
Yeah.
There's some apps too, you know.
Yeah, if that's your vibe.
Because right at the end of the day, right now, I'm seeing we have work to do, guys.
We all do, always.
We have work to
Everybody needs
do.
therapy.
Okay, with that being said, love y'all. And own it. Own the work you have to do next.
Peace out, honeys.
Adios.